All right, Raiders fans, let's dive deep into the latest developments surrounding our Las Vegas team. And trust me, there's a lot to unpack. This season has been full of surprises, disagreements, and moments that have left fans scratching their heads, especially when it comes to the dynamic between the front office and the coaching staff. When you look at the roster decisions, draft picks, and trades, it's clear that the person responsible for long-term building and the head coach don't always see eye to eye, and that tension has started to show in very noticeable ways. One of the clearest examples comes from the recent trade involving Jakobi Meyers. From reports circulating within the Raiders organization, it appears that while the coaching staff wanted to keep Meyers on the roster, believing he could contribute to winning games even in a 2-6 season, the front office felt it was smarter to move on, given that Meyers was in the final year of his contract and might not be part of the team's long-term plans. This move ultimately yielded valuable draft picks from Jacksonville, but the disagreement behind the scenes signals a larger disconnect between coaching philosophy and management strategy. It's not unusual for NFL teams to experience some friction, but when these disagreements become visible through leaks or media reports, it starts to shape the narrative in ways that can impact players and public perception. These leaks, often coming from anonymous sources within the organization, hint at a deeper issue: a lack of alignment on decision-making processes. In particular, it seems that John SBYCH, the general manager, and Pete Carroll, the head coach, might be operating with very different priorities. SBYCH appears focused on building a sustainable, long-term roster, willing to trade players for draft capital, while Carroll's focus seems to lean more heavily on immediate performance, player development, and trying to salvage wins in the short term. The tension between these approaches can create confusion not only for the fans, but also for the players themselves, who are left trying to navigate competing agendas. Another layer to this story involves injuries and how the coaching staff manages them. Take Brock Bowers, for instance. The tight end suffered a significant PCL injury in the opening game of the season, yet reports indicate he was pushed to play through the injury for 2 to 3 weeks. His performance during that time was noticeably hampered, and it became evident that he was not at full strength. What followed was a carefully crafted narrative, shared through the media, suggesting that Bowers was reluctant to sit out and that he was somehow unwilling to rest properly. In reality, most players, especially someone as dedicated as Bowers, would follow their coach's instructions and prioritize recovery if told to do so. This situation highlights how internal disagreements and public communication can sometimes shift blame in ways that may not fully reflect the truth on the field. The Raiders' handling of rookie guard Caleb Rogers presents a similar story. The coaching staff initially wanted to start him, but after struggling in practice, they opted for other options, leading to one of the team's worst offensive performances of the season. The explanation shared publicly implied that Rogers himself was the reason for not starting, which again seems like a narrative shaped to protect the coaching staff rather than accurately reflect the challenges of integrating young players into the lineup. These instances, combined with broader struggles across the team, suggest a pattern in which coaching decisions are being questioned internally and externally, and the general manager's philosophy may not always align with the approach on game day. This season, the Raiders have had to deal with multiple moving parts, from veteran players whose contracts and roles are uncertain to young talents being pushed into critical positions before they are fully prepared. Decisions around who starts, who sits, and how injuries are managed have all contributed to a complex and sometimes controversial narrative. The front office seems to be making strategic moves with an eye toward the future, while the coaching staff appears to prioritize immediate results, even when it risks player health or long-term development. On top of this, the upcoming matchups, including the game against the Browns with quarterback Shader Sanders starting, add another layer of intrigue. Sanders has shown tendencies to struggle under pressure, holding the ball too long and retreating in the pocket instead of making the plays expected at this level. The Raiders' defense will have a crucial role in containing him, but on offense, the team must execute flawlessly to take advantage of the situation. This upcoming game illustrates the larger challenges the Raiders face this season: balancing player development, managing injuries, navigating front office coaching staff dynamics, and finding ways to win in a league where every decision is scrutinized. With Myles Garrett and the Browns' defensive line posing a constant threat, and with key players like Colt Miller still sidelined, the Raiders are operating under significant pressure. Every snap, every decision, and every adjustment could be the difference between a rare victory and another disappointing loss. Throughout all of this, the narratives emerging from within the organization, whether about trades, injuries, or lineup decisions, show a team in transition. The tension between SBYCH and Carroll, the challenges of integrating young players, the management of veteran talent, and the handling of injuries all combine to paint a picture of a franchise trying to find its identity while facing the immediate pressures of competition. Fans are left to piece together these stories, trying to understand who is driving decisions and how these choices will impact the team's performance both now and in the seasons to come. The Raiders' 2025 season has not been easy, and it is a reflection of a team navigating complex organizational dynamics, facing difficult on-field challenges, and trying to balance short-term wins with long-term strategy. Every game, every trade, and every internal disagreement becomes part of a larger story about where this team is heading and how it plans to achieve success in a league where alignment, preparation, and execution are everything. Continuing the story, Raiders fans, it is impossible to ignore how these internal dynamics are affecting player morale and on-field performance. The friction between the front office and coaching staff has created a ripple effect, influencing how players approach each practice, each game, and even how they perceive their own roles within the team. Brock Bowers' situation is just one example of this. His PCL injury was serious, yet the mixed messaging and the narrative being pushed out externally likely added stress to a young player already trying to perform at the highest level. When athletes feel caught between management decisions and coaching strategies, it can subtly impact their confidence, timing, and ability to trust the system. And that effect is magnified when every move is scrutinized by fans and media alike. Then there is the matter of the rookie guard Caleb Rogers, who was thrust into a starting role before the coaching staff was entirely confident in his readiness. The decision to pull him back and start veterans instead led to one of the worst offensive outputs the Raiders have seen this season. And yet the public-facing explanation painted the rookie as the cause rather than acknowledging the coaching staff's own misjudgment. This pattern of shifting responsibility outward while internal disagreements simmer highlights a franchise struggling to maintain a coherent strategy. Beyond these internal disputes, the Raiders' upcoming challenges are stark, particularly with the Browns coming up on the schedule. Quarterback Shader Sanders, though not universally trusted, presents a unique situation that could either serve as an opportunity or a trap. His tendency to hold the ball too long and retreat under pressure can be exploited by a disciplined defense. Yet the Raiders must remain flawless in execution, especially considering the absence of key players like Colt Miller. The pressure is immense, as the defense must step up to contain Sanders' mobility and unpredictability, while the offense must capitalize on any mistakes and demonstrate cohesion despite the ongoing roster turbulence. Adding to this is the broader context of the Raiders' season, which has been defined by injuries, strategic trades, and coaching decisions that sometimes seem reactive rather than proactive. Veteran players on short-term contracts, such as Jamal Adams or Jeremy Chin, face uncertainty, while younger players are being asked to adapt quickly to high-pressure roles. The coaching staff's insistence on certain strategies, even when they may not align with the player's strengths or the front office's long-term vision, has contributed to inconsistent performances week after week. For example, forcing Jamal Adams to play linebacker rather than his preferred safety role shows a rigidity in coaching philosophy that can hinder both player development and team success. These moments illuminate a larger truth. Pete Carroll's approach appears increasingly at odds with the strategic vision laid out by John SBYCH and the front office. While Carroll's focus on immediate performance and adherence to his preferred methods is understandable from a coaching perspective, it clashes with the general manager's intent to shape a sustainable and versatile roster. This divergence of priorities is not just an internal matter. It has tangible effects on game planning, injury management, and player development. Every decision, from trades to who starts at a particular position, is filtered through the lens of these competing priorities, creating confusion and sometimes conflict among the roster. In this climate, every victory or loss carries extra weight, as it is interpreted not just as a reflection of performance, but also as validation or criticism of one side of the organization. The broader picture of the Raiders season, then, is one of a franchise attempting to reconcile short-term exigencies with long-term planning, a delicate balance that requires both strategic foresight and adaptability. The way injuries are managed, like in Brock Bowers' case, the way young players are integrated, as with Caleb Rogers, and the way veterans are utilized, all contribute to the narrative of a team at a crossroads. Looking ahead, the Raiders' ability to navigate these challenges will determine not only the outcome of individual games, but also the trajectory of the franchise for the coming years. The potential firing or departure of Pete Carroll could mark a significant shift in team culture, strategy, and leadership style, potentially allowing John SBYCH to execute a vision that aligns more closely with long-term goals. Yet, any transition must be carefully managed to avoid further disruption, as the team is already navigating a season fraught with injuries, inconsistent performances, and high expectations from a passionate fan base. The upcoming weeks will test the Raiders' resilience, adaptability, and cohesion, as they face opponents who are well aware of the team's internal struggles and will seek to exploit them. In preparation, players must maintain focus, trust their teammates, and execute game plans to the best of their abilities, while the coaching staff must balance immediate competitive needs with strategic planning for the future. At the same time, the front office must continue to evaluate roster composition, contract situations, and draft opportunities to ensure that the team emerges from this season stronger, more balanced, and better aligned internally. The Raiders' story in 2025 is a complex narrative of tension, adaptation, and opportunity. Each game, each player decision, and each internal debate contributes to the shaping of the franchise's identity. The interaction between management and coaching, combined with on-field execution, injuries, and the integration of new talent, creates a high-stakes environment where every choice matters. Fans watching from the stands or their living rooms are witnessing not just the wins and losses, but the unfolding of a larger story about how a historic NFL franchise navigates adversity, internal conflict, and the constant pressure to succeed. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around the NFL, and this time, they involve none other than Miami Dolphins star wideout, JAYLEN WADDLE. Sources close to the league suggest that the explosive playmaker could be on the move, with the Las Vegas Raiders reportedly showing serious interest. While nothing is official yet, the mere mention of Waddle in a Raiders uniform has sent social media into a frenzy, with fans and pundits alike speculating about what such a move could mean for both franchises. For Miami, Waddle has been a cornerstone of the passing attack, his speed and elusiveness creating matchup nightmares for defenders week after week. Yet, whispers from inside the organization hint at a willingness to listen to offers, potentially reshaping their offensive identity if the trade were to materialize. The thought of parting ways with a dynamic receiver like Waddle feels audacious, and some fans are already voicing fears that Miami's offense could slide into irrelevance without him. Online forums and comment sections are filled with debates over whether the Dolphins could sustain their aerial threat, or if the loss of their top playmaker would leave them scrambling for answers. On the other side, the Raiders are said to be intrigued by Waddle's speed and ability to stretch the field. Las Vegas has been searching for ways to ignite their passing game, and a weapon like Waddle could be the missing piece. Rumors suggest that discussions have touched on creative trade packages, with draft picks and roster pieces potentially involved, though insiders caution that the talks are very early and far from concrete. Even so, the mere association of Waddle with the silver and black has sparked excitement among Raiders fans, who envision a high-octane offense suddenly capable of competing with the league's elite. The rumor mill shows no signs of slowing down, and while the story remains speculative, one thing is certain. Jaylen Waddle's name is now at the center of a storm. Whether Miami is ready to let him go or the Raiders are willing to commit big to land him, fans on both sides are already reacting as if the deal were imminent. Social media is buzzing with predictions, criticism, and excitement. And every highlight from Waddle's recent performances is being dissected with new intensity. One can only wonder, could this trade truly happen, or is it just another tantalizing whisper in the endless swirl of NFL rumors? Either way, the chatter shows no signs of slowing, and the league's rumor mills are officially alive with Waddle. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.